Mitch Marner or Brad Marchand? Let's compare them. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. There's been a lot of articles about Marchand and Marner, and then a lot of arguing in the comments who's better. Let's talk about it. Again, I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, it's probably something stupid. So I don't really care to look, but let's talk about their stats. Mitch Marner, winger for the Toronto Maple Leafs, plays alongside Austin Matthews. Games played, this is for the past 5 years. 320 games played, 116 goals, 269 assists, 385 points, well over a point per game, and he's a plus 76 in that time. Mitch Marner, great two-way forward, definitely a playmaker, not someone who's going to consistently put the puck in the net at a high rate, but will place the puck on a tee for guys like Austin Matthews to bury it. Wide open nets, great playmaker. 1.2 points a game is what he's averaged over the last 5 years, which is great. It's among the league's elite. It is. 92 penalty minutes over that time. Not a guy who clearly likes to drop the gloves all that often. Not a guy that takes a whole lot of penalties, to be honest. This is definitely on the lower end. Austin Matthews and Panarin, I think, were the only two guys lower in like the top 20 points that I looked at. 109 of those points that Marner scored was on the power play, and he spends about 21 minutes and 3 seconds of average time on ice. All right, Brad Marchand. 315 games played, 5 less than Marner. 141 goals, more than Marner. Assists, 241. So what was that? 18 less than 28 less than Marner. In points, 382. 3 less than Marner over the last 5 years. So pretty much the same. Marchand is a plus 100 to Marner's plus 76. Marchand, 1.21 points a game. That kind of surprised me. I was not expecting Marchand to have a better points per game ratio than Marner. So that's cool. Penalty minutes, 359. Now, we know Marchand has his antics and so on. But the reality is he doesn't really get a whole lot of 5-minute major penalties unless they're fighting majors. He'll occasionally get fighting majors, which is really cool. You never see that about Marner. Marchand's gritty. He's in the middle of these scrums and pile-ups. More often than not, it's just part of his game. He's very good at it. More penalty minutes, more of an emotional guy. 130 power play points in total, so more than Marner. Take that for what you will. I usually take it as a negative if you have a higher value. I think it's a lot of your points can be attributed to playing up a man, but it's also like you're really helping out your team's power play by being able to. You're an effective power play person by having a higher points per game on that power play. So positive, negative, I don't know. Take it for what you will. I'm not a big fan of that stat, but I always find it intriguing. In time on ice, 19 minutes, 17 seconds, which regardless of the amount of penalties that Marchand's taking, it's about right. He's usually between 19 and 20 minutes per game. Marchand plays alongside Patrice Bergeron. The third winger for both of these guys, Marner, it's been bunting the past 2 years now. And Marchand, it's been a plethora of guys. We've seen a lot of guys play on that wing. DeBrusk, for the most part, I guess, has been the main guy. We've seen Pastrnak take a few shifts up there. We've seen Craig Smith up there. We've seen Jack Studnicka up there. Kind of rotating, so just interesting. So when it comes down to the offense, very, very similar players. Marner, more of a playmaker. Marchand, still more of a playmaker type player, but also puts the puck in the net more than Marner. Whatever. Points per game, like 5 games difference, 3 points difference. Like we're literally splitting hairs. We're down to 1/100th of a point per game in difference. Not really a big deal. Penalty minutes, again, take that for what you will. I look at that as Marner is a more disciplined player. Marchand is more of an emotional player. Both teams need both types of players, so it depends. I don't think that really has much impact to who's the better player here. Time on ice, Marner obviously spends more time on ice. Just it is what it is. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot there. What's it called? The Leafs are more of a top-heavy attack. You got those first two lines that do pretty much all the scoring, whereas the Bruins like to have four lines rolling when they can, regardless of who the coach is. So you see a little time reduction in that top line in terms of ice time. You see a little more for that second line, usually around 17 to 18 minutes, and then you see that third line usually between I don't know, 15 to 17 minutes, and sometimes that third, like Charlie Coyle last year as that third line center, would see games well over 22, 23 minutes of time on ice per game over guys like Patrice Bergeron on that first line. So I think it's just a difference in the team mentality, which is fine. There's no right or wrong answer to that. I will say, though, I do have to give the edge to Marchand because of two reasons. The first is just his leadership. This dude is a leader. He's the last one off the ice every game. He greets, he tells every player he did a nice job as they get off the ice. He's very vocal. He's very straightforward. His leadership abilities are fantastic. There's a high probability that this is the next captain of the Boston Bruins. Which for other teams, who don't, or other fans who don't watch Marchand on the regular, it's kind of like oh no, don't do that. Of all things, don't do that. But if you watch Marchand and the team, he's a short guy. Was he 5'10" or 6 feet or something? He's a shorter guy. He'll drop the gloves with anybody, which it's crazy. Not because he knows he's going to win the fight or even has a chance, but because it's the right thing to do in the moment. And he's demonstrating leadership by doing that. You don't really see that with Marner. Marner, I don't know what happens behind closed doors. He could be a great leader. He could be one of the quietest guys in the locker room. I don't know. And I don't really follow the Leafs that closely to really have any insight to that. So I can't really speak to Marner's abilities. But when it comes to leadership on the ice, Marchand is leaps and bounds above Marner, in my opinion. Let me know if you disagree or you have examples of Marner displaying incredible leadership on the ice. Love to see it. I'd love to look up a YouTube video or something to see that. But in terms of leadership, Marchand gets the edge for that. And defense. Marner is a very good defensive winger. You cannot discount that. You can't say he's not great on the defensive end, because he is. Marchand, I think, in my opinion, is elite defensively. I think he's one of the best defensive wingers in the game, or defensive forwards in general. I don't think there's any arguing it. He plays next to a guy with like Patrice Bergeron, and Patrice Bergeron, probably one of the greatest defensive forwards of all time to ever play the game. That's not really a debate at this point. It's not really a debate that Bergeron is a better defensive player than Brad Marchand, but Brad Marchand's defense is out of this world fantastic. There's a reason you can throw any guy up on this top pairing unit on that right wing, because they will produce offensively, and that's always the concern, is how much offense is going to be produced with that winger there. But the defensive game, you don't need a defensive forward to play on that first line. You're getting quality defense from Bergeron and Marchand. Marchand, if you watch him game in and game out, great positioning every play. He's back checking. He checks all the boxes off for what you want out of a defensive forward. He's up there with guys like Mark Stone, in my opinion. He obviously doesn't get the recognition because he's on a line with Patrice Bergeron. And you can make that argument with the Minnesota Wild, right? You got Marcus Foligno, Jordan Greenway, and Eric Schneck. All three of those guys are fantastic defensive forwards. There's no debating that. They just are. But because it's all three guys on the same line, nobody really stands out above anybody else. So all these guys are a lot lower in the Selke voting than they really should be if they were on different lines or even different teams. We see this with pairings league-wide. It's one of those things where voting is very subjective. Sometimes it's accurate and sometimes it's not. We saw Tyson Barrie just go off and score a ton of points on that blue line in Edmonton with the Oilers. and he didn't even get a Norris vote that year, not even one. Because he was playing on the power play with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins and all these guys, right? So there's kind of a piece of that. So don't come at me with your Selke voting numbers. Both of these guys have been nominated. They've had Selke votes in the past. I don't think either's been nominated in the top three. But I got to give the defense to Marchand too. And I don't want to discredit Marner's defense because it is fantastic. That should not be underplayed. Marner and Matthews has also come a long way and is very, very... I don't want to say Matthews is elite defensively, but he's very good. Marner is borderline elite defensively for a winger. Marchand is elite and has been elite for a long time. So if I had to pick right now between these two players, excluding age, it would be Brad Marchand. Now, both of these players are in their prime. Marchand, mid-30s. Marner, what's he, like 25, 24, whatever, 26? I don't even know. I don't know these ages. Marchand's between like 33 and 36 or 30. I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't really keep track of players' ages that much. Marchand peaks later in his career. Marner looking like he's peaking early in his career. Will Marner sustain this throughout his career? And then we can have a whole career discussion. But if you're asking me right now and for the last 5 years, who I want as a player on my team, it's no doubt it's Brad Marchand. I'm not saying that because I'm a Bruins fan. I really had to look at, if you asked me before this video, I'd probably lean towards Marner because I thought Marner was significantly better on the offensive side of the puck. That's not the case. And there are little things that edge out Marchand with leadership and defense that I would take over what Marner provides to a team. So that's my take. Obviously, either of these players, they're both excellent elite players in the NHL. No debating that. Both great two-way wingers. Both key, valuable pieces to their team. Any team in the league would be lucky to have either one of these players. And if either one of these players was made available, regardless of the cap hits, I think Marner's like, what is he, like 11 million or something? Teams would still go out of their way to try and get these players on their team, even with the cap hits they have. I think Marchand's on a team-friendly deal, but it doesn't really matter. So that's my take. Let me know what you guys think. If you disagree, let me know. Tell me why, though. Let me know. Give me decent reasons. Don't just be like, because I hate the Bruins or I hate Toronto, because we don't these players could be on a different team in another month. Probably not. It's not very likely that either of these players will move. But it's one of those things, right? It's more about the player than it is the team and the fan base, and so interesting. Again, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you watching. Take care. All right.